Welcome to Slay, the podcast where we dive into all aspects of female health, fitness, and life. I'm your host, Louise Hazel, and in today's episode, we're going to discuss the topic of self-love. If you're a woman and haven't yet experienced your season for eating, praying, and loving, then there are two things that are highly likely. You've either never had your heart broken, or that season is coming eventually. This is a season of self-discovery where you might be reconnecting with who you truly are at your core. So if you've been feeling a little bit lost in your life, career, or relationship, and are desperate to reconnect with yourself, then this episode is for you. Joining me this week to unpack this topic is a good friend of mine. Variety named her as one of the most powerful women in reality TV. It's author and challenge champion, Tori Deal. Tori! Oh my gosh, I miss you so much.
Louise, it's so good to see you, dude. I'm so happy you brought this podcast back, man.
I know, right? I know.
Good
We
for
were
you.
gosh, the first time we recorded was like, what, 2018?
Oh my
We
God,
just started
so long
the gym,
ago.
19. But like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen you for a decade. Like, literally.
It feels like
Oh,
that. I know,
when did you
dude.
leave LA?
I left LA immediately post breakup. So 2020, end of 2020, I was just like within a week of us breaking up, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, that's right. I remember. And then where did you go? Remind me where you're at now.
I live in Miami now, but literally post breakup,
yeah.
I went back to Jersey and I was
Yes,
like, okay,
you're
I
East
don't know where to,
Coast.
I didn't know where, like, I just moved back in with my family, like, didn't know where to go, didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, what's the next step?
Yeah.
So I used my mom's house as a lily pad. So I lived with my mom for a year.
Oh, how was that? Did you need, like,
Yeah.
we're going to get into all of that. Like, it's,
Yeah,
you know, I really want to kind of pick up from where we left off. Do you know what I mean?
totally.
Like,
Yeah, I would love that.
there's so much has happened. Like, so much has
Yeah.
happened. You're a challenge champion. Like, so much has changed in life. But like last time we saw each other, I think was probably in person. I think might have been the photo shoot that we did for your
Yes, the
bracelets.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like,
Wow.
you know, summer's gone and all of this stuff has happened, and then the pandemic, and, you know, obviously, you know, I you know, we've obviously met through the challenge and obviously champs versus pros, but obviously I've always, you know, as a really good kind of couple friend to you and Jordan, and obviously loved you guys both very dearly. And I always feel like whenever breakups happen, there's always collateral damage. But I feel, do you know what I mean? It's like, who gets the dog or who gets the cat? And I feel like, you know, and I know that a lot of your friends will feel like this in the sense of just completely freaking torn, because I think everybody
100%.
loves you both equally and both so dearly. And it's so, I think it's, you know, like seeing you guys separate, and this is like, look at me, I feel like I'm literally had the breakup as well. But it's like, as a friend from the outside, it's like, oh man, what wicked people. You do feel like you're torn in two. But listen, it was your life. I want to know more about like the time before you entered the Challenge 38. Like, what were the events that led up to you becoming Challenge season 38, Ride or Die Challenge champion? Like, where was your head at going in? Because it had been a time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really feel like it was like, I mean, I don't really pull tarot cards that much, but if I did and I could pick one card to really just resonate with the whole cycle, it would be the Tower, because you crumble to literal nothing and then you have to restart totally. And, you know, when I was living with Jordan, I really made that my identity in many ways. I didn't picture my life without him. I just was very clinging to his future and was curious about how I fit into his plans. And it was just, I did lose a sense of my individuality, even though I was still writing books and I was still doing my own things. Internally, I was always like kind of tagging on his coattails in a way, because he's just so driven and so powerful and so creative. He's all these amazing things. So I was always so inspired by him. And I feel like after the breakup, I ended up, you know, going home, and it just was like a massive self-reflection time. Like, I really feel like I saw my true colors, my toxic traits, like all of these awful little fractures in my soul were just exposed. And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to deal with this? Because I'm at a fork in a road right now. I'm either going to go and fix this and make myself better, or I'm going to literally spiral, and I don't even want to think about what's on the other end of that path.
What were
So,
those toxic traits? I'm curious. What did you feel
yeah,
like you unearthed? Because I feel like
dude,
sometimes post breakup, when you are finally on your own and you have to sit and face yourself, that's when stuff comes up. What was coming up for
absolutely.
you?
Yeah, I realized, and I had known this stuff about myself, but like it really came out at that point. Like I am a spiteful person. Like when somebody hurts me, I'm like fucking I'm giving it right back. Like I need if I feel pain, you have to feel pain. So that's
Mm,
something that I really had to work on to just kind of surrender and let situations be. Another one is like was so attention seeking, like really needed validation from a male. And
hmm
was that's never going to end up well. So I
mm,
hadn't been alone. I hadn't been single before Jordan, even before that. Like it had
hmm
been a long time since I was really single.
Was it back to
And
back relationships?
oh,
Because I was in that. Yeah.
it was
hmm
back to back to back to back to back to back to back. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking it goes down to 13 years old, back to back to back to back. Like
Yeah.
the cycle doesn't stop.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, so that cycle, that I had to face that and like put an end to that. And that was insane. And then also just self-destructive behaviors like drinking too much and going
hmm
out and wanting to just forget about it all, not actually doing the work and sitting with it. So it took me about 6 months to finally, after the breakup, be like, okay, maybe I'm going to be okay. And then I went on medication and that like really helped me pull it together. So
Got you.
it was time, it was a little bit of medication, it was just really looking at myself. But I think ultimately, yeah, that's what led to me being a challenge champion. Like I really truly believe that. I know I was selling like t-shirts after I had won like winter strength is inner strength, but like I really feel like I conquered myself. And
Mm,
that's what helped me. The universe was like, here you go, Tori. Here's a
absolutely.
reward.
Because this is so interesting because I felt like the Tory that I met when we did Champs versus Stars, self-deprecating, funny, people pleaser, but also in that scenario, completely non-threatening. And
Yeah.
like, because I felt like, Tory, you were just like happy to be there and just having
Yeah.
fun. And you know what, if I make it, I don't really care. There's no real stakes for me. And I'm just like, hang about. I'm like,
Mm,
that's very different than the person that it takes to become a challenge champion. And I know because I've been there, been, in that arena. But more importantly, I've been on a diluted version of what you did.
mm,
And so I
mm-hmm.
was like, what changed, Tori?
Mm. Yeah, I think the ultimate crumble. I think not being able to rely on the crutch
Mm,
of somebody else and, just having to really take responsibility for myself and my own success. I think
mm,
in many ways, I relied on that personality and that good-heartedness and that lightheartedness to carry me into that got me through the casting process and that got me on the show. And
hmm
then it really does have to change. Like you said, when you want to become a champ, there's a different mentality. And I don't think that I was there yet. I think I had a lot of growing up to do in my real life. So I really think it
mm.
was just, when I started TV, when I met you, I was like 23, I think,
Yeah, a puppy
you
dog.
know,
Yeah,
baby,
yeah.
baby 7 years ago. So it's just been like growing up on TV, like so crazy.
Which in itself is a freaking absolute, like, smack in the face in and of itself. Um,
Totally.
like the thing that I think I've seen happen with you is just like you've blossomed and you've just gone from strength to strength. But actually, I think as time has gone on, like you're so much more fortified for some of the crap things that you've had to endure in your life. And like just watching you over the years, just constantly finding yourself, recreating, creating music, poetry, writing, all of those things. I'm like spirituality. Like I'm just, you know, I've been through that kind of phase, not even phase, because I wouldn't even call it growth myself.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
I was so happy to see you doing it on your own. Because
Thank you.
I was also in that cycle. Like I kind of know what that kind of back to back relationship stuff does to you, and you don't even realize you're in it until you're kind of looking back at the whatever mess and crumbling parts. But
1000%.
so let's talk about the challenge 38. Had you seen Jordan prior to that episode, prior
No,
to day one shooting? What did that
no.
feel
And
like?
And we were on like pretty bad terms at that point too, because after we had broken up, I had hooked up with somebody a month after.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's public knowledge now. Like
Mm-hmm.
everyone knows the story. It was blasted all over social media. And Jordan and I had a brief conversation after all of that kind of leaked. So, but then after that, it was very much like, you know, there was no communication. It was cold. And he had always mentioned to me if there was another show and I was on it, he wouldn't come on it. And I really believed that. But I think enough time had passed and maybe, you know, they called with the right price for him. And he was kind of like, you know what? I think maybe fuck it. You know, let's go on. Let's go stir some shit up. But I am so like, I look back at that season and I'm like, I just can't even believe it. Like, what are the chances I would win that season, that I get reunited with my ex? And, you know, then we have to face our drama again publicly, but then I also get to win that season. So I feel like, yes, it was like one of the hardest of hards there could have been, but at the same time, I won. So I can't be mad about whatever it took it to get there. I do think that season was just, the universe was like, you have to go through this season.
I was going to say it's divine. And to say like that was your reward, I 100% agree with that. Now, my other question is, what made you choose Devin? Like, obviously, this was ride or dies. And you partnered up with Devin. Who chose who?
We kind of both agreed. Before we found out the theme, neither of us wanted to go. We had talked about it. We were like, we're over it. We had just done Spies, Lies, Allies. Like, we got really close that season. Like, I love him.
The crazy thing is Spies, Lies, Allies. I was like, I remember you being like, I'm gonna win. Like, your grit and determination was there. And I'm like, because I've seen this in athletes every single time. And I'm like, this isn't your year, but your year is coming. And I knew that it just needed a little bit more time, to cook. But go on, let me not interrupt you.
Wow. And you know, it's great. I lost that season by 10 seconds. 10 seconds. And that also felt divine. That also felt like, okay, this isn't, like you said, this isn't my time.
Yeah. It's like the universe, when it comes to like really winning and really winning gold, it's like, oh, I'm going to give you a taste of what it's like to win. But I'm going to do, you're going to have to really, you're going to have to be in such a good, this is what people don't think, I don't think people understand about winning, is you have to be in such a freaking good place to take home that number one spot in yourself. Like, there's no winging it.
Yeah.
So how did Devin win then?
Winging it.
Thank God he had you.
No, dude, he is so underrated. He really is. He's so smart. And like, you know, his personality on the show is the shit talker and the chaos and all of the funny, like, he is that guy. But deep down, when push comes to shove, he is one of those people that will call me out of the blue and check up on me and see if I'm okay. Like, true good friend, so thoughtful. Like, it shows up on time to birthday dinners. Like, always is there, always shows up. Like, he is a true through and through good friend. And I think that's why he got rewarded with this opportunity as well, because he's also had a shit reputation on the show sometimes. You know, he stirred the pot a little too much. So he had the opportunity to, like, both of us together had to have this like platonic friendship that, like, when I look at all of the ride or die pairs, I truly believe that Devin and I are the closest. So I think that in that sense, we also deserved it too.
100%. What do you think it is about both of your personalities that make you such a good team and a good partnership?
We definitely just balance each other out completely. He is so strategic and such a great planner, and he's so good at just saying, Tori, this is what we have to do. And then when push comes to shove, I'll execute, and I'm tenacious. So I'm going to give it my all every single time. Not saying that we're always going to have it right, but we trust each other in each other's realms. And that takes a lot of pressure off, just knowing who's doing what job.
Yeah, I feel like with you guys, there's this underlying like trust and also respect. And where other people that could be beefing, there's actually not a lack of energy. Like, there's no energy lost or diverted to anything else, because it's almost like there's an unspoken language between you two. Now, talk to me about this 100-hour final. Because if I'd have gotten to that point and they said the finals are 100 hours long, I'd be like, see you later, take it. Have it.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I'd be like,
wouldn't.
Make it 101. Let's go.
Yeah, you 100% would.
I know. Who am I kidding? When they turned around, When they told you it was 100 hours, what were you thinking?
Dude, I was just like, all right, whatever. I'm looking around and I'm like, if they're gonna go through it, I'm gonna go through it. Like, I felt ready. This wasn't my first final. I think it may have been my fourth final at this point. Like,
Did you think you were going to win?
I did. I
Because that
did.
was
I
some
actually,
stiff competition. Nani, Johnny Bananas,
yeah.
Jordan, Anissa.
I could just tell by the energy Devin and I had together that as a
Mm,
team, our camaraderie was going to be hard to beat.
mm,
And I thought that Olivia and Horacio made a really good pair as well, but they were
mhm,
so new.
mm,
So I thought their camaraderie was pretty decent. And I knew
mhm.
Anissa and Jordan were kind of always butting heads, and Nani and Johnny kind of always butt heads in some way. And even though it's their style of friendship, but I just felt like the communication Devin and I had, I felt like it was just the right type of communication to win.
I love it. So listen, they tell you it's a
Yeah.
100-hour final, and then
Hmm.
you get to station 7, the eating challenge.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I know. It was just so much pasta. I'm like, why is there so much carbs? I'm like,
Like,
do you see?
when
No.
I actually saw how much they put on the table and then what they did with the dessert, they then, so for those of you guys who haven't seen it, there's always an eating challenge in the challenge. And on this particular challenge, it's 100-hour final. They're on station 7, and there's a plate of spaghetti pasta, not even a plate, a mountain, enough, I'd say, to feed a family of 6 to 8,
Yeah.
and then of responsibly portion size of 6 to 8, and
Yeah.
then bread. You guys both had bread on either side, so
A
then you
basket
had
of
like
bread. Yeah.
a basket of bread. So imagine you go out again for a dinner for 6 to 8 people, basket of bread. You've got a wine glass with water in it. I
Mm.
just wish it would have had a wine at that point.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It would have
So
made
not
throwing up way easier.
so you get through that, and
Mhm.
then TJ Lavin, he surprises you with a bowl of vegan chocolate ice cream each. What are you thinking at that point?
No, I can't describe how. I mean, listen, everyone's overeaten at some point in their lives. Like, the feeling of total discomfort. But it was so beyond that. It was like a legitimate sharp pain in your stomach. And you're wondering, like, can my organ pop right now? And so
Mm-hmm.
Devin and I were trying to throw up mid bite sometimes
Mm-hmm.
because I think it was fear of like, could this, like, how much do we trust production that this is actually okay for us?
Mm-hmm.
So Nani and Johnny Bananas didn't do that at all. They took it down and they never once threw up. But like Devin, yeah, that was just, we couldn't do it. So, but I will say this, at the very end, I was able to throw it up and I got it all out at the very end.
Wow.
So it was the most incredible, horrific throw up of my life. But everybody all night had the worst gas after that. And I
No.
did not.
Oh, wow. Because you were
Every
clear,
I
clean,
was
clear, and under
clear.
control.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the hardest part of that final for you?
The hardest part of the final. I think,
Mm.
oh, I mean, listen, the very last portion of that final when we're in these like rooms and it's just Nani and Bananas versus Devin and myself, you have to go through all these different portions of the game. And it took 6 hours to get through. And I think that
Mm.
TV didn't do it justice because Johnny and Nani were actually kind of far behind. And so they didn't want to like show how long it actually took. But
Mm-hmm.
each room took about 2 hours.
Mm.
And it
Jeez.
was by the end of it, I couldn't even turn, like when I went to go fly home, I couldn't even hand my passport to the agent at the gate because my hands were so like frozen from just pulling the chains for so
Mm-hmm.
long and from
Mm.
digging through sand for so
Mm.
long that I couldn't even move the muscles in my hands anymore. So the
Mm.
very last thing after already have doing 4 days outside, that was definitely the most difficult.
My gosh. So like actual physical pain, like the
Physical
enduring.
pain. Yeah. And yeah, you're not feeling enduring, but at the end, you can't walk.
Yeah, the endurance, the adrenaline's probably carry you through, right? But here's a question, and if I think back to like my track and field days when, let's say, I won the Commonwealth Games, was
Mhm.
there ever a point where the negative thoughts and like did they ever get into your head during the final? Was there a point where you're like, oh, this is not happening, this is like, was there a point where you had to silence those demons? Did they ever come for you?
I'm so honest when I say no. And it's because the moment one came up, I just looked next to me and I'm like, oh yeah, Devin's with me. Like I
Mm,
just like all of the insecurities I have as a competitor, those are his strengths.
mm,
And like that's where that magic was. Is like I
mhm,
just know that if I can't figure it out, he's going to be able to figure it out and vice versa. So, yeah, and like I swear to God, like I kept saying while I was there, if I win, I'm going to go do ayahuasca. If I win, I'm going to go do ayahuasca. Like I just knew I was going to win. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go do it. So we win, and I'm going to transition the conversation for 2 seconds. We can take it back which way you want to go after this. But I win. So I'm like, okay, well, I've been saying I'm going to do ayahuasca, so I better go find somewhere to do it. We're already in Argentina. They do it in Peru. So I'm thinking I can just fly there. I was way too tired. I went
mhm,
home instead because I was like, universe, I actually can't do it right now. I'm beat.
mhm.
2 days later, I get a phone call from my friend Brennan Durrell, who's one of the workshop leaders on Too Hot to Handle. He's leading a non-official travel to do ayahuasca in Ecuador in 3 weeks. And he's like, hey, do you want to come? I hadn't even told him about it. I hadn't even told him I won. I didn't even tell him I was home. So this is just, there were so many moments of this whole experience that I was like, this is part of my path. I am just
Mhm.
riding the ride right now. And like whatever I'm about to experience, whether it's Jordan coming on the show, me competing with Devin, us winning, or me going and doing ayahuasca after, there's something happening in the universe right now. And I know I'm exactly where I need to be.
Mm, absolutely. So, like the theme that we're talking about, and I really want to touch upon is self-love, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like above being an absolute badass, above being partnered with someone who you really trusted, respected, and was just like the perfect partner for you, I feel like the one thing that got you to that point was that period whereby you were able to kind of fill your own cup.
Mm.
I've got some really kind of deep questions for you, and I don't want you to think too much about this. I just want you to think about taking yourself back to that time. What's one thing that you did right?
When like I was going through it, or
I would say prior to the point where you became champion and you're going through it and you're going through that transition of like, you
mm,
know, really finding yourself, reconnecting with yourself, figuring out your identity.
I think what I did right was I just really self-reflected. I think I
Mm,
like really looked at myself, even
hmm.
though it took time to get there. And I think that is what helped me make changes that made me a better version of myself.
What wasn't actually your fault? Was there anything that you discovered like you were perhaps blaming yourself for in the past and you're like, actually, no, this is like I'm a human being?
Yeah, I definitely think my attention seeking behavior stems from like much earlier. And I was able to like work with a life coach during that time and really
Mm,
understand like why is that such a pillar of my personality. And so I was able to deconstruct it a little bit of like, where does this come from? And understand that there were things that happened before I was even an adult for me to
mm.
behave like that. So yeah, I think that it was eye opening in that sense.
Do you feel like because of that work, you've been able to leave that part of you a little bit behind? Or do you think it's something that you accept in a different way now? Is it something that evolves? Or is it something that you're like, nope, that's not me, and like that you'll never see me behaving like that again?
I think it comes up sometimes, but it definitely doesn't come up the way it used to.
Mm,
Like in terms of attention seeking, I mean, my relationship with like men has drastically changed. I went from being with to being single 3 years.
hmm.
So I think that
What else has changed?
my ability to just be like the pilot of my own life,
Mm,
like moving to Miami was like a girl decision. It wasn't like, oh, me and a partner. I wasn't doing it for a man. I'm like, I want
hmm,
to move to Miami with my best friend and I want
hmm,
to do weird shit down there with her. And I think
hmm.
just, yeah, like picking up more projects that like fuel my heart, like just deciding I'm going to do what I want to do.
Mm,
That has been, and not basing it on somebody else.
got you. The
Mhm.
other thing I wanted to ask was, what choice would you make over and over again from that period?
Mm.
What don't you regret?
What don't I regret? Oh, Jesus. Oh,
Tori
jeez.
wasn't ready. You got your nails done. You're
Oh,
ready to go out. You were.
oh, jeez. That's, oh my God. What don't I regret? I think living with my mom. I think that like there is always this like, oh my gosh, like I mean, trolls were commenting on my page, like,
What were they
yeah,
saying?
you live with your mom, me, and I'm like, yeah, bitch, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
I need my mommy right now. I don't know what you want from me. So yeah, I think at any age, whenever you have to like, if you have the opportunity to go, do that, I think it's a luxury. And I think that it shouldn't be looked down upon.
100%. I also think you'll look back, even now, look back and that you'll realize that's a really freaking special time.
It was so
You
special.
know,
It was
think
so
about,
special. Yeah.
I saw something on social media that's like, if you think about it, as adults, how often we go back home and see our parents. And a lot of the time that might be once or twice a year. And then if you think about their lifespan, this is so morbid, but you think about maybe they've got 20 years left, you might
Yeah.
only see them for like another 40 occasions. And when you think of
Totally.
it like that, freaking hell yeah, go back, live there. You know what I mean? Do all the things. Like, don't forget to, like,
Yes.
as a person who now, has sadly lost both of their parents, like, if there's one thing that I would definitely do differently, it would be to definitely get my butt back home more often. I can safely
Yeah.
say. So don't feel ashamed for going back to. I'm coming to see your mum next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tell her to make me a bed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, because of that time period, like after I won the challenge, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to invest in real estate. I knew I wanted to buy a house. And I actually bought the house next to my mom's.
Did you?
So,
Oh my
yeah.
God, that's nuts. That's
So I can,
wicked.
yeah. So I'm currently in Miami, but my plan is to ship everything back there so I can just make that home base and still be able to travel a bunch and do whatever I want to do. But yeah,
That's
I'm going to make
dope.
that home base. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Thanks.
That's awesome. One of the things I wanted to ask you was, what do you not settle for nowadays? Like after that period of like real growth, after becoming a champion, finding out what that takes, what are you not settling for any longer?
I think that toxic behaviors and that destructive behavior that
Mm.
is not, I don't look at it the same way. I think my relationship with alcohol has drastically changed.
Talk me through that.
And
Because I remember you
yeah,
posting on social media. I feel like it was getting around like Christmas period, party season. You were like, I'm not drinking, and you were out celebrating your birthday, and you were
yes,
like, "Da-da," and I'm having like, this is not real alcohol. This is whatever.
it was a
You know what I
ginger
mean?
shot.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was my
ginger shot.
30th birthday. Yeah, my
Yeah.
30th. Yeah, so it was like a pivotal birthday.
How
And
how are you doing that when perhaps your friends are just still, doing their thing, doing them?
no, they were cool. Like my
Hmm.
best friends are so cool with it. They were so supportive. Nobody has ever pressured me. Like in fact,
Mm.
the opposite. They've encouraged me to keep going, and we've had like non-alcoholic elixirs or whatever, like adaptogens, whatever everyone's drinking these days.
Hmm.
But I like now I've gone back to drinking, but in a
Hmm.
very like I know when I'm doing it. I'm not doing it in a way in which I'm hurting myself. It is celebratory. I am
Mm.
enjoying it, and I don't have to feel bad about myself. So there's just a different relationship now. And
Mm.
I feel like, yeah, those destructive toxic behaviors, like like even when I meet a guy and he has them, I'm like, it's just not going to work because I just don't want that in my energy anymore, in my temple. I've gotten like
Hmm.
very I guess protective over like my temple now. I treat my
Hmm.
body as if it is that. So
Mm.
that's kind of where I'm at.
So it sounds like that of like evolution of the relationship with alcohol has kind of come full circle to the point where like you have the boundaries, but more
Yeah,
importantly, boundaries with other people as well. But more importantly, boundaries like with yourself. Um,
absolutely.
I want to talk about stay on the kind of theme for a little bit about self-care, because you've always been in the gym lifting. One of the things I love to do is check in and see what you're up to in the gym, pushing sleds. Like, where are we at with our fitness, Tori? Like,
Yeah.
where it's 2024, it's January. What are you doing? What are you up to?
Okay, what am I up to? Well, I am in the gym 5 days a week lifting, which is about to
Kapow.
shift. to 3 days a week because I'm starting another hit kind of endurance cardio training every morning
Yeah.
from like 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. I'm out on the beach doing beach workouts and runs right now.
Yeah.
And I'm starting, I've started this 2024, new body, new me a little late, but I've always,
No such
agreed that
thing.
there's no such thing. And there's like, my body needed a season to just like enjoy the holidays. And now my body is like fully locked in and really excited to push myself again and to keep running and to, but I do everything now. I really do. But over the past 6 months, I have been explicitly weight training. So now I'm just bringing cardio back into it, going to shred a little bit. And but always working out,
always lifting heavy. I see. Give me your favorite lift in the gym. Because I've seen you been, like, I'm impressed. I'm not even going to lie.
Oh,
like,
thanks.
I've seen you tackling things in the gym that most people don't even, like, first and foremost, the barbell. I feel like you're the queen of the barbell. Like,
Thank
the fact,
you.
honestly, like, this is literally like gym porn to me. So, like, you know me. Like, tuning in and watching somebody not only just lift, but mastering lifts and taking the time to learn the techniques, deadlifts.
Yeah.
Like, are you cleaning as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember being like, oh, Tori, come and pay your little visit. And so, like, that's impressive. And I think the interesting thing is there's so many women out there that follow you. And so there's that huge responsibility. And one of the things I think you've always done a wicked job of with your audience is allowing everybody to meet them, you meet them where they're at. You never tell them to try and do anything that you're doing, eat what you're eating, work out how you're working out, just follow their own journey. But seeing you challenge yourself physically in that way is like, so to me, I'm just like, woo, 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 go sis,
wow,
go sis,
coming
go sis.
From the slay queen herself, dude.
You're the slay queen. I'll take that crown off. Let me put it on that head.
Oh my God, thank you so much. No, I really appreciate it. Like, I've always been inspired by your fitness journey as well. Like, and I think I've kind of really leaned towards weight training because I've had this moment of like, you know what? I'm not saying I'm a big bitch because I'm not, but I have the potential to be really strong. I have one of those bodies that just like is just kind of like, I'm built like a brick shit house in a way.
Yep.
And so I liked experimenting with that and just kind of tapping into that version of me and seeing how far I can push it. So like with cleans and everything like that, like I actually feel like they're terrifying because you can do them wrong and you can really fuck yourself up.
Absolutely.
So there's some like cleans that and some of those Olympic lifts that I really don't want to touch. But the other ones, it's like when you throw that weight up and you're just kind of like, there's something about it that just like really makes you feel on top of the world. And I think I've become addicted to that feeling of being strong.
100%. I'm here for it. Like whatever you need, I got you. If it's you need a technique check, send me the video. Do you know what I mean?
Dave.
Whatever you need. Are we talking nutrition? How are we fueling these workouts? Let's go.
Yes.
So, and I was thinking about, like, everyone always talks about how you prep for the challenge. So like you're getting ready for a challenge. They've called you up. You know it's coming. You've got however long they give you. Let's say a month. And you're like, okay, I know like this is going to be grueling mentally. And I know that, okay, you've got the puzzles, maybe not grueling physically, but what are you doing in that kind of prep phase to physically prepare yourself?
I don't want to say too much. I don't want to give away my tricks.
Absolutely.
I don't want to give away my tricks. But I take it very seriously. And I had a comment on my Instagram the other day and they were like, do you think about the challenge all the time? Or do you just, think about it when it comes up? I think about it all the time. I wake up, I think about it. Every time there's a clip to watch, I'm watching it and I'm wondering about how I would strategize how to do that. Let's just say I'm doing my homework and I eat, breathe, and sleep the challenge. Like it is such a big part of my life. And I never thought in a million years that I would be like, I'm a challenger, but I am. So I'm just like, let me go in.
Stop yourself. No, you're not a challenger. You're a champion.
I'm a champion. Yeah, thank you. So I just think, and there's just so much more room for improvement. Like there always is. I could be so much better. And so I just am excited to keep learning and keep growing and seeing how I can be a better challenger. So I don't take it lightly, and I study
I was
the
going to say,
challenge.
okay, so let's say there's one thing physically that you think, okay, I know that so and so got the better of me there.
Mhm.
What I just want to say in a general terms, without giving too many of your tips and
Mhm.
tricks away, what are you going to be focusing on going into your next challenge? Like, are you going to be focusing on strength? Are you going to be focusing on agility? Is it going to be speed? Is it going to be endurance? Hit me.
It's going to be calm under pressure.
Ooh, I like it.
Strategy under pressure, calm under pressure. That is where I'm at. I feel like that is probably the core to being a great competitor.
Stealth. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I want to shift gears and I want to talk about the soul spill,
Oh,
because
yay.
this is not your first book. You obviously had The Search for Syrup, which was your first self-published book, children's book, which I want to talk about very briefly because I always think like it's really important, and because you have nephews and nieces. And I'm
Yes.
like, what led you to do the children's book first and foremost, and then talk about the
Yeah.
soul spill?
Well, I actually, funny story, like started to work on The Search for Syrup when I was filming my first season of the challenge. There's a lot of downtime. I was super bored. I had a notepad and a pen, and I was like, I'm going to write a book. And I just started, and the characters were completely different when I was working on it in the show. It was literally Yolky Pear and Kitty Pillar. And they went on this like breakfast adventure. And then I came home, didn't pick it up for seasons. And then I got eliminated from Final Reckoning, which was 2 seasons after. I got eliminated super early, and I was like, okay, I cannot rely on being a good challenger. I have to have other qualities of me that I enjoy and that I put out into the world. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do a kid's book. And I picked that book back up, and I just decided to put some energy into it. And then I just really found my craft and love for writing again. Like I had always loved it, but I never really took it seriously. And so thankfully, I was able to independently publish myself because I have an audience. So thank you to everybody who's supported the book and bought it, because that has been so important for me to have the confidence to then put out another one. But yeah, I think when it comes down to like being a challenger or a challenge champion, it's kind of like, well, we know we film for a period of time, but what do we do in the off season? And how can I make sure that I'm still living out my other dreams while I'm living out this one? So that's where, the confidence for writing came from.
Where does the passion for writing come from? Like, is that something that's been in your family? Is it solely a Tory thing?
It's definitely, well, my dad is an author as well, but he writes very different books. My dad worked for the
Science
FAA.
fiction? No.
No, just straight
NASA.
science.
The science,
Just
that's right.
straight science. Like he is just and he actually took his book down because he's working on another one anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, he has inspired me while growing up to be an author. And I am not writing anything like what he writes. He is writing about panspermia and how life travels through space and spores and, all those things. I'm writing about koala pears and bumblebees and Frenchy toast. So it's a different vibe, but he's definitely inspired me a lot.
I love it. Talk to me about the soul spill. What are we going to learn about you when we read the soul spill?
Yes, I think the soul spill is like the seed of me from the beginning of being in a relationship to me being in a relationship to then breaking up and to feeling like absolute shit and then to finding myself again. So there's poems that every poem stands on its own, but
It's
every
a series of poems, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a series of poems, but they're all allocated in different chapters based on that chapter of my life. So birth of a soul, and then roaming the earth, and then enchantment, falling in love, and then lost, depression, rebirth, and then ascension, coming back into like this best version of myself. So I really feel like anybody at any point in their healing journey is going to be able to find at least one poem in there, if not many, depending on where they are. And so I just think that it's just a beautiful collection. So, and thankfully I got to work with my best friend Vera again, who you've met. And
Vera can't dance.
we did
Apparently she can.
Yeah. And we did Search for Syrup together. So it's just kind of like this thing that I do with one of my best friends, and it's a project, and it's just been so amazing to get people's feedback on it. Like, it's so fulfilling, and I am just in love with it.
What does it represent for you to be able to get those feelings and emotions out, actually down and on paper?
God, there's just nothing like it for me. Like
Mm.
there's something about words rhyming that just really do it for me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
love when words rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
It is it for me. And that's what it is. I get to take these emotions and put them into these beautiful sentences that feel like butter, and
Butter
that's
and
just special.
bars.
Yeah,
What's
it's
your
just
favorite bar from the book? Because I feel like when I went through my last breakup, which is a long time ago now, I felt like I had
mm,
bars for days. I was like,
mm,
I wrote same thing, poetry. I feel like there's something about your emotions that literally
mhm.
spill over, excuse the pun.
Yeah.
But what's your favorite bar from the book?
Wait, can I read a poem?
Absolutely. Yes,
Oh
please.
my God. Okay, here we go. You can hear it in her voice. There's more strength in her tone. You can see it in her walk, especially when she's alone. It's confident and slow, shoulders back and brows low. For you, the sight is new, but for her, she's always known. Every setback is a path to another door unlatched. Every heartbreak of the present becomes a gift of the past. She calls in all blessings, yet remains unattached. No more healing through crying, but through good times and laughs. It takes growth and power for the path that she chose. Hunted like a witch, from the ashes she rose. As she spills in the river, her soul overflows, nourishing her sisters so the young healers grow. Oh, thank you, Louise. I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me read
That's
that.
sick.
Thank
Oh my.
you.
And then wrap it round to that next generation, girlfriend, wrap it all the way around. I feel like I feel like we are falling so that they can walk.
Yeah.
You
It's so
walk on
true.
high. We got you.
Oh my gosh.
I've got a couple more questions for you. I want to wrap our interview, though, up with the last question, which is what might be possible for you after all in 2024?
I think this is the year of my inner temple. And by that, I mean, I don't know if any success is going to be obvious externally to my fans and followers, but what I feel like is internally, I'm just fortifying who I am even more. And I'm becoming more confident and more comfortable in my own skin. And I think that that's going to set me up for even bigger and better things in years to come.
Absolutely. Are we going to see another challenge win?
You know what? Maybe.
I
I
wouldn't
hope
put it
so.
past you. I wouldn't put it past you.
I hope so.
Honestly,
We'll see.
Tori, I'm telling you, you're going to be tough to beat. You're going to be
Hey,
tough to beat.
I appreciate you. Thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
You
I mean,
got this.
I'm gonna try my best if I get the opportunity to go play again.
Oh,
I,
you sure will?
I'm gonna try my best, and if not, then I'm gonna keep coming back until I learn from it. That's just how it goes.
There you go. Look at me, literally. I'm like, you sure will, like I'm a producer on the
I love
show.
it.
We're just manifesting that out of nowhere.
Dude, when are
Make
you
it
coming
happen.
back? People still wonder when you're like, people want you back on the show.
Oh, jeez. It would. I don't know. Like, would I go back on the show? It would. Again, I think like everything, it would have to be the right circumstances, location. I think. I don't know. You know, we're running like a business here, like a real business. This is like, you know, people depend on me, you know, from 6 to 12 noon, and then like we have so much going on with Slay. It's amazing to have you know, been fortunate enough to build so much in such a short period of time. But it's also a lot of responsibility.
Yeah,
um, like gone are the days of just running off to do an MTV show
right.
and just talk shit to Weston Bergman. I mean, like I still text him and, you know, slide in his DMs and talk shit from every now and then. So I can just do that from my couch, you know what I mean, or do it from the treadmill.
Yeah. Oh man, but
So
people would love to see you back, but it's so good that you're
I'd be a
thriving.
freaking, I'd be a menace.
You'd be a menace. Everyone needs a menace, Louise. Everyone needs a menace. Bring it
I
out.
do. Tori, I've got a couple more questions. This is going to be a quick fire round. It's called
Okay.
Challenge or Champion.
Okay.
So this is a quick fire round. I don't want you to spend too much time on these answers. Just quick fire. Let me know what you think. You're either challenging this idea or you're championing this idea.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. There's going to be 10 things. Sugar daddies, challenge or champion?
Champion.
Pow pow. Do you, girl? Do you? Eating challenges, bread, pasta, and vegan ice cream as a whole meal. Eating challenges on the challenge.
If it's vegan, champion.
Oh, okay. Fair enough, girl.
Mm-hmm.
Fear of failure.
Challenge. For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Love in the limelight.
Challenge.
Okie dokie. Anxiety.
Yeah, challenge.
Literacy.
Champion.
Papow. Marriage.
Champion.
Papow. CrossFit.
Champion.
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 Poetry.
Champion.
And then the final one, which I only found out today, OnlyFans.
Champion.
Girl has got some spicy content out there. I haven't subscribed yet, but I've got a free weekend. So, did you see the recent stuff on social media about, this was so-and-so's highest paid follower on OnlyFans?
No.
That's going to be me. I'm going to be making it rain all over that account.
I'm so dead.
You'll be like, dead. Louise?
I will send you my content for free, girl. You don't worry.
No. Treat me like one of your daddies. Tori, what a hot mess. I love you so much.
Thank you. I love you too.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy you're in Miami. I'm happy you are living life. I can't wait for you to be back in LA, so please come and see me when you're here. Let's get a workout in. I miss you so much.
Yes, Louise. Thank you so much. Seriously, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I'm so happy you brought this podcast back. And congrats with getting married and everything that you're doing. And I can't wait to see you again.
I know. We need an in-hug person, please. In-person hug.
We need an in-hug person, please.
Yeah, in-hug person. I love you, Tori. Have an amazing day.
Thank you. You too.
See you, baby. Bye. That concludes this episode of Slay. Reminder, you can't pour from an empty cup. So stay tuned for more empowering discussions on female health, fitness, and life. You can follow me at Louise Hazel, and you can follow Tori at Tori Deal on social media. Check out the Slay brand at Slay Athletic. And don't forget to subscribe to the Slay podcast and leave a review if you haven't done so already on Spotify. You can get all of the tools and resources that are mentioned in our podcast on the Slay app. You can download it now for free from the App Store.